And welcome to the 2023 Predator WPA World 10-Ball Championship. 128 players, $250,000 in prize fund, $60,000 for the first prize of this tournament. With a first stage is race to 8, double elimination, winner breaks. And this is George Teachan Booth, joined by the beautiful and talented Margaret Fefilova.
Hi everyone. Hi George.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes. First time we've done commentary together, and
I believe so.
So I'm really excited to have you break down a lot of the shots for us. I love your YouTube channel.
Thank
and
you so much.
The instructional videos that you have. CueSports International and Predator have brought this together for you. We have Fargo Rate, Medalla Light, Drums of Puerto Rico, Cyberts, Jam Up Apparel, and Kamui. Thorsten HOHMANN to break off the balls. It's Thorsten HOHMANN and Ta Van Ling.
I think it's going to be an exciting match. Both players are pretty tough, and just going into this long format of like races to 8 for the World 10-Ball Championship. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of pool to be watched.
Now we are playing WPA rules where the 10-ball does not count on the break and no early 10s.
I love this rule.
I kind of like the early 10s because it can make the game a little more exciting. In fact, I kind of wish they would play it to where the 10-ball can be called at the same time as, for instance, the 2 for two-way shots.
Sure. No, I definitely know what you mean, but that's the thing. Like, there's a difference between being excited for spectators and for the players. Like, as a player, I'm telling you, like, I don't want early 10s
You
to
don't
happen.
want? Okay.
No, it's just,
you know,
it's just not something that you, like, yeah, if you can avoid this rule, it's better because, you know, we have enough of 9-ball when there's a lot of luck involved. So when you play 10-ball, you really want it to be 100% call shot and no early 10. I think it's just the best rule.
Actually, you make a great point. Here's a good look at this 31-year-old from Vietnam. He is sponsored by Perry Hughes, and that's what he's using.
I'm actually excited to see this player in action because I haven't heard of him before. But, you know, there's so many good players that we haven't really seen yet. So
Very true.
That's a good,
very
it's a good opportunity to see them play.
In fact, just prior to this tournament, we had the Alpha Las Vegas open with 192 players, and we had the cream of the crop from all around the world.
Oh, absolutely. It was probably one of the toughest tournaments I've ever seen, to be honest.
And for Victor Zielinski to come through and win it again, what a feat he just did.
It is absolutely unbelievable. I mean, seriously, it is tough enough to get in the top 3 with such a hard competition, but to defend his title, it's unreal. Hats off to him. The kid works extremely hard, and it's just great to see the hard work is paying off.
Well, Ling 2-rail kicking this ball, or maybe just straight down. There he goes. He's not going to catch a rail.
Yeah.
He wanted. Shot. He was pushing that behind those balls for a return safety.
Yeah, I believe he wanted to hit it thinner.
I think he wanted to hit it going into the ball instead of the rail.
It was a good idea, though.
Yeah.
But now Thorsten has ball in hand, even though it's a little tricky layout. As you can see, the 5 and the 8 is tied up, so.
Well, you know, if I was Ta Van Ling, I wouldn't want to be giving this 3-time world champion ball in hand.
Oh, absolutely, you're right.
2021 Hall of Famer. He's actually played 9 events in the Pro Billiard Series. He's ranked 30th, and his highest finish is 9th, but he's had 3 or 4 of those. He's cashed 6 times in the 9 events that he's played.
That's pretty impressive. And Thorsten is one of the most knowledgeable players on the tour, so I'm actually excited to see how he's going to solve this situation, whether he's going to choose to break them open or play safe.
Right here, I think he's going to be going for the 4-ball in the bottom corner pocket, coming around 3 rails with the cue ball. No, he went the opposite way and went to the side so that he could come after the 5-ball.
Yeah, it did. It's a little bit hard to see from the camera angle if he has an angle. This one is actually better. It seems like he has a slight angle. I'm not sure if he will be able to break them open.
He's going to go for the stun shot and the safety off the 5. Yeah.
I think it's the most secure option because you can play safe, send the 5 into the rail and up table, and then you have an open position from there.
And actually the key word you used there was secure.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you're looking to do
You
here.
have to always play the percentages. Like the way I look at it, like if there's an offense option and a defense, I have to ask myself, okay, if I play this particular shot 10 times in practice, which shot is going to give me more percentage to win the rack? And obviously this safety is the best possible option. And see, it worked really well for Thorsten. He has ball in hand and the table is wide open. And even if he would have the good contact with the 5, there is still a big chance that Thorsten would have an open table.
Yes.
So it's just the best shot to play.
And play him he will here. He needs to secure these 4 balls for the first win in this race to 8.
Yeah, now it's just pretty much connecting the dots, as they say.
Thorsten rather efficient at the table with his time management. They are in the 30-second time clock with 60 seconds after the break.
I believe he's going to draw it back.
That was the shot. I actually wonder whether you play that in the corner to get good shape on the 9, because that's a pretty steep angle coming into the pocket. But he did great with it. And he was nice and close. That's what made him nice. And he'll secure the first game of this race to 8. It's the opening round of the Predator World 10 ball.
Very smart play by Thorsten. Honestly, when it comes to playing the 10 ball with the triangle rack, I feel like it's all about the correct decision making. You can't be too offensive, right? Because there's a lot of balls tied up after the break, and you just have to make the right choices. It's very important.
So do you prefer to play with a template or with a hand rack?
I personally prefer the template because it gives me more control of the rack as a player. The break becomes actually a skill that I'm 100% in control of. Either when the referee is racking, you're pretty much giving up the control to the referee, and the players are not allowed to check the rack. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go into it, but I believe this is probably one of the fairest way to play, in my opinion.
That way the break doesn't become the big issue, it's the
Right.
movement afterwards.
But there is 2 sides of the coin. When you use a template, it pretty much becomes a running out game, right? You have the balls spread open, and the players became so good right now. Everybody mastered it, so it pretty much break and run. When we're using the triangle rack, we kind of like eliminate this factor because there's a lot of balls tied up, and it becomes kind of like a safety game, moving game, you know. So, for example, right now, Thorsten made the 1, and now he's going to play safe on the 2. Oh, I'm sorry, he missed the 1. It looked
It's
like
awfully
he did.
deep. And how it's on the table. Look at it from this angle. It's hanging over the pocket.
Wow, I was 100% sure that he made it.
Well, he made a ball.
Okay, so now, coming back pretty much to the same scenario as we talked about, now he can play a soft stop shot and leave the cue ball behind the 4. So once again, as I told you, it becomes the safety game.
And I like
Beautiful.
the safeties when they're done that way, but he's left a little bit of an opening to that first rail going into the bottom. But you can't block it all, can you? You can't take it all away.
No, absolutely. I think the most important when you play a safety like this is to make sure you don't tie up the 4 ball. So then, like, let's assume he made a false shot, so now he has an open table.
Well, he's going to open this up as he'll play position.
Yeah, he's not going to be too happy with this one, but look at the 5 ball again.
Yep.
It's not that easy. Thorsten decided to let his stroke out a little bit on this one. It's a good shot. He has a slight angle in the 3 to stand it up table, play shape for the 4. I'm actually curious if he would like to get a negative angle on the 4 to break open 5 in the 6.
And by a negative angle, you mean over on to the left side?
Yeah,
Okay.
to leave the cue ball closer to the side rail.
So it's like a back cut.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I probably used the wrong terminology.
No. I could understand where you were going with it. That's
Right.
your terminology. That's why I asked. Negative, positive would be you're on the right side of the 6, and then the other was a back cut.
Right.
And I totally understand that. A lot of times people refer to a back cut as shooting to the blind side of the ball.
Yeah,
So.
I heard this one too.
So that's why I asked.
Yeah, it makes sense because they call it like blind pocket because you can't really see the pocket. He's going to go 2 rails.
He got it off just in time.
He was just
but
on the edge
just
of getting a shot clock violation, but I believe the rule is that as long as you stroke the ball, the tip touches the cue ball while the shot clock is still going, you're fine.
You're golden.
Yeah.
He's got a good shot. He can get to the 5 ball if it goes to the side, or he can run into the 5.
Yeah, I was actually curious if it goes to the side, but it looks like he will try to break them open. Use the rail first and open it up. And no, he decides to play
He'll
shape
play
for the side. Yeah.
If it
Looks really good.
If it went to the side, well, Thorsten doesn't make many mistakes, so.
Yeah. He's a very experienced and very smart player, so you would expect good decisions from him.
And a very quality human being. He's just a great guy all around.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. See, like you can actually see that he was questioning himself. He decided to play safety. So he was kind of looking at the angle to play with topspin, and then he changed his position to play on the bottom of the cue ball to play a safety. But see, this is what I like. And in this game, it's not about being a hero and like running out and having like beautiful run outs and make it look cool. You know how so many people, they like to show off and make tough shots. It's about playing smart, and good safeties is something that wins the games and wins the championships, because if you see top players play, yes, they can run out, they all do it very well, but what separates them from amateurs is that they know when to play a good safety, so then they create an opportunity at the table.
Back to that word you used, secure.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got a nice 2-railer at this. Could even go 3 rails and hit the 5. It's a big ball coming off that rail, but he went very, very short on his 2-rail kick. And that's for all of you amateur players. Learn the diamonds. Learn to get to the middle of the head rail. You'll see a lot of shots there, and from there, you know, a foot either way, you can make a hit, like for the 10 ball, things like that. So he went close to the pocket there, and in billiards, that's called a corner player.
And honestly, I feel like Thorsten can smell the blood right now. He kind of like was checking out how his opponent is like with kick shots, how does he feel at table, and because he already missed few pretty easy kick shots, I think Thorsten kind of like feels that this is how he can win the match, because his opponent is not very good at kicking probably, or like struggling at this match, at this table. So he's going to use it in his advantage. And this is smart because, you know, you have to find your opponent's weaknesses and then attack pretty much.
Exactly. He sensed a weakness, and so far it's been kicking.
Yeah. And to be fair, it is challenging to kick at the brand new cloth and very polished slick balls, because there is a big slide going into the first rail. So it is hard to judge if you're not experienced in playing in these conditions.
And especially if you arrive to the match 5 minutes before the match and you haven't hit any rail balls, you have no idea what the cloth is going to do.
Exactly.
So, and that's exactly what this young man did, was he barely made it in time for the match.
Yeah.
He was running late from the hotel.
Yeah, we don't know what happened, but yeah, he did come up a little bit later. Thorsten had like his 20-30 minutes of warm-up on the TV table before his opponent even showed up. So
So we'll be right back with a break. And we're back as we see our referee, Jeff McGee from Shreveport, Louisiana, walking away from the table. Left the ball's rack for Thorsten. And Thorsten to break, leading 2-0.
Good job for Thorsten so far. Playing very smart, good decisions. No, not too aggressive. I like it. Great break. The second ball went straight in the side, and he has a shot on the 1, which is probably
what
the best
everybody
thing
wants
that
to
can
start with
happen.
is
Yeah,
control.
exactly.
He has dead control. The 2 ball will not go by the 3, so he has to decide whether to play the safety or get position for the 2 in the opposite corner. That's a small window with a 4.
Yeah, and he has kind of like very uncomfortable reach for the 1, so he would have to use the bridge.
Thorsten is sponsored by Molinari, Gabriels, and Kamui.
Looks like a good shot, but I think he will end up on the top of the 8.
And for you cue freaks out there, he plays with one of the most beautiful cues on the tour. Yeah, he's playing aces and straights, and that's all he's going to play.
Yep.
Meaning if he doesn't think he can make it, he's going to play safe. His opponent, like you said, hasn't shown him that he's going to challenge him on the kick shots.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good shot, smart. Don't have to overcomplicate it, just a simple stop shot to play shape for the side pocket. Now I believe he's going to roll it forward. Play for the 5. I think the 6 ball goes on the side. I don't think it's going to be an issue. He just has to make sure that he gets like closer to this side of the table, to the right of us. But then the key shot is going to be from the 7 to the 8, because where the 8 ball is, he would have to leave a nice angle for the 6 ball to get to the 7. So right now it's a very important shot to make sure that he plays a good shape for the 6.
And he's on there pretty nice. He can just roll this in and play the 7 to the corner as long as he maintains an angle to come back for the 8, either by follow or using the side rail.
He looks almost straight. I wonder if he's going to bump the 10 or he can avoid it. Yeah, he can avoid it, so that's nice. Because if you bump the 10, you would have to face kind of like awkward angle on the 7. So now he can just stunt draw it back for the 8. Yeah, just like this.
Well, it looks to me like Thorsten's going to put a clinic on for us here.
Yeah, so far it seems like it's going to be a fast match. But you never know. It is a race to 8, and even if you're up 6-0 or 7-0, it's still not over.
It's winter break format, and we haven't seen much of the young man from Vietnam, but if he's here and he's traveled to be here with some opportunity, he can take over the table time.
Absolutely, and to be fair, Thorsten didn't really give him much chances in this match. He was playing a really good shots, and every time he was at the table, he had to face some tough kick shots or you know, a tough layout, so there is nothing he can do much.
Yeah, he's kicked 3 times and missed all 3 and given Thorsten ball in hand. So Ta Van Linh, 31-year-old from Vietnam, actually with a 747 Fargo to Thorsten's 787 Fargo. And when the players go to a break, I'm going to go to a new setup from Fargo Rate, and it's called a head-to-head. I can plug this into Fargo and plug in both players, and it'll tell me their previous meetings and where and when they played.
That's actually very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
When I just moved to US, I was very excited to see how accurate the Fargo rate system is, and because, you know, we don't really use it in Europe, so it was new for me. So when, you know, I figure out I have established Fargo, I believe it's like 724 or something like this, and then I was surprised how accurate it is. Like, for example, if I were to play a person with like 770 Fargo, it would tell me exactly that the guy is supposed to beat me like 8-5 or 8-6, and it's crazy because, you know, it's most of the time it's pretty accurate. There are some upsets, of course, some unpredictable things happen, but I was surprised how accurate the system works according to like establishing people's rating and then, you know, the definition of it.
It actually does give you a good standard to go by. It gives you an idea of the player you're playing, what they normally play like. Of course, they can play above their Fargo.
Yeah.
And of course play below it.
But, you know, we all have those days when we play really good or really bad, but what it does, I believe it takes the average. And I like that it takes in consideration all matches you played against different opponents, because this is a really good way of like comparing your skill level when you play against tougher opponents.
It is actually the only tool we have to compare and measure players on an international basis.
I believe so, yeah. But it was funny, I remember when I just moved to States, I think my Fargo was like 718 or something like this, or 716, and my husband Tyler, he was like, okay, when you reach 720, you're officially considered a pro in US.
Yeah, that's probably about the number you like to use.
Yeah, but it is pro in men's circuit, you know, not in women's.
There is what I call the elite, which is the 800 club, and there's 32 players that are 800 plus.
Oh yeah.
And but you know, if you stop and think about it, anybody in that 780 to 800 would probably be in there too.
Absolutely.
Because they can play to that range.
But you know, it is, I know it can be a lot of frustration for people who just started playing because they always try to like boost their Fargo to make it higher. I would advise to everybody, like, don't worry about it, like, don't pay too much attention to it. Because in the end of the day, it does not determine who you are or how do you progress or how you play. Just focus on the present moment, focus on one match, on one ball at a time, and this is all you can do. You cannot control certain things, you know, because sometimes you would play 9-ball and you would get, your opponent gets lucky and you lost the game to an opponent you're never supposed to lose, and then you get all upset. Because there's some things that are completely out of your control and you just have to let it go sometimes.
Oh, that was actually a
that
good
was
look.
That was a huge mistake.
Ta Van
Linh
here. He is not comfortable with kicking the ball at all, because that's a very straightforward kick.
It is. Like, you can just tell that.
And to tell you the truth, had he been successful, the cue ball is going to travel around the 6-7. He's going to be hooked. He had to go straight into the ball. So
I agree. And when you kick the 2 rails at this ball, you actually give yourself a really good chance to have something good happens, because if you go into the ball from the 2nd rail, you can either make the ball or you can play a really good safety. You can get like really unlucky sometimes, but once again, this is not something that you can 100% control. And once again, Thorsten is just smelling the blood, and he understands that this is his chance to get a 4-0 lead.
Yeah, at this point, Thorsten has no fear for his opponent.
Absolutely not.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
No, he hasn't had a straight open shot yet, though. He's had a kick shot every time, and that is talent in itself. Thorsten is keeping his opponent at bay.
Yes, I agree with you, but this type of kick shots that he had against Thorsten, you can't just miss those ones, unfortunately.
And the score is
nice
4-0.
run out, and Thorsten extends his lead. He looks very confident at the table, and you know, there's nothing that can break his confidence at the moment.
Yeah, there's no reason not to be confident, and he's halfway to his goal of 8 games.
Yes, and he had a lot of table time already. As we mentioned, he came up to the practice table like 20-30 minutes earlier. He got a feel for the table, and he was pretty much dominating the match for the last 4 racks. So that's like the toughest part when you're down. You just want to get this opportunity, get the open table, to have a little bit of table time, to get a little bit more comfortable at the table, and then everything can change very quickly. 4-0 down, honestly, it's nothing in the race to 8.
On table 1, we have 2 streaming tables in this tournament. On table 1, you have Livan Corteza and Roberto Gomez.
Oh, it's a great match.
It's a Filipino invasion there.
Yeah.
2 great players, 2 players that you would call elite.
Absolutely. I was actually talking to Roberto this morning, and he said, yeah, he's looking forward for the match, and they played each other for so many times already. And he said, in the end of the day, it's going to be a coin flip. Who's going to win this match? Who's going to win the leg and extend the lead first and makes less mistakes?
Meanwhile, Thorsten. Yeah, Thorsten isn't going to come off his plan here. He's going to keep him tied up and let him work. He just barely left an open one ball that looks like he can see the right side of it, but it's tough.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it because he's going for a jump. I believe if he can see the right side, it's way too close to the 3, so he would risk to.
Now, how would you be feeling in a match like this where you're trailing 4-0, a race to 8, and you haven't seen an open shot yet?
That's the thing, when you're trailing like this, you're just gonna make sure that you focus 100% on every inning. Like every time you're at the table, you gotta give 100% because it's so easy to get in this negative mindset of like being down and kind of don't care much about the shots, being like I'm hooked behind the ball, there's nothing I can do. No, you can always, as long as you're at the table, you can always create a possibility for you.
So you're still straining to come out of that chair and saying, give me an opportunity. Just
absolutely.
Let me see the ball, see what I can do. See, he's done it again here.
He's done it again, but I think he left an opening. I'm not sure if he can make it, but he can definitely see the 1 ball. It was a good shot, though. He got a little bit unlucky, like getting the touch on the 3. But it was a smart shot because he has a lot of blocking balls that can potentially guarantee a good safety.
And he's shaking his head, so maybe he cannot. He can see enough to hit it or kick it.
I feel really bad for him right now because every time he's at the table, he has nothing easy.
Yeah, well, if he can't make this ball, he went for it. He had a nice kick to kick between the rail and the 5 and send the ball down and hold the cue ball. He had a good return safety.
I see what you mean.
See if he parks him behind the 5 ball. Well, he's going to just give him long distance.
Yeah, he's just going to send the 1 ball up table.
Now, the reason he didn't bank it to the other side, try to get behind the 5 was the 10 ball. He runs into it, he gives up a shot.
Yeah, I think so. Now, see, here he can make the 1 ball, but then what?
Yeah. He's got a tough positional shot on the 2.
I mean, I would probably honestly like slow roll the 1, get the cue ball closer to the center of the table and go for a bank. You know, there's this saying when you're trailing, you're supposed to be more aggressive. When you have a big lead, sometimes you want to be a little bit more defensive. Because when you're trailing, you pretty much have nothing to lose, right? So you have to create this opportunity. So sometimes you have to be more aggressive in certain shots.
And that's very true, especially in a game called One Pocket.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Thorsten.
Yeah,
He's going to get behind the 10.
Yeah. To be honest, he didn't cue it very well. Like, he kind of like jumped up
Okay.
on the ball.
You saw how punchy that was? Yeah, you saw how punchy that was.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thorsten is looking very focused in the chair. That's a thing, you know how they say that you play 2 games. The first one when you're at the table, and the second game is when you're at the chair. Which is probably the most important game that you will play, because you're supposed to compose yourself. Wow, what a shot.
Well, we saw something very positive from the young man from Vietnam.
It was probably the shot that can create an opportunity right here. But see, even right now, what would you do? You can't really cut this 2 ball in, right? You can try to go for it, but in my opinion, it's like a suicide. So you either play a safety or go for a bank.
I liked actually going for it.
Wow.
I did that one particular shot. The safety, everything's too far away from him. If he tries to bank it up, the 9 ball's in the way. He can't really find cover.
Yeah.
I like going for it, and the speed I thought would offer him better position than what he ended up with.
Yeah, I like what he did. He definitely misjudged the rail a little bit. I believe the rail played a little bit too soft. He expected a little bounce, but it didn't happen. Very smart shot.
It was a nice shot.
Yeah.
Cue ball, did it run far enough behind the 10? No, but
he's still okay.
Yeah.
Now Thorsten is in a tough spot. He has to figure out how to play a safety back.
Do you like a 2 rail behind the 5 with the cue ball?
Yes, I would definitely try to send the 3 ball towards the side rail and go 2 or 3 rails behind the 5.
If he could land his cue ball on the very far right rail, the bottom rail where his chalk is,
yeah,
it would tuck into the 5 very nicely. He's not going to go that far. He's just going to go
he decided
hit
to
it straight
play,
across.
Yeah, the standard, just separation, safety, which, you know, it really depends how you feel at the moment.
I feel like I'm going to go for this bank shot in the side pocket, bring the cue ball around 3 rails for the 4.
It is really tough because on a slick table, the rail is going to play very soft. So you would have to hit it so hard in order to get shape for the 4 of this bank.
Well, you had a good, just in defense of my crazy call, you had a good cut shot. You're going to hit it pretty thin. Right hand English takes you with a natural English to get back around. That's the only reason I would have even considered the bank.
You know, this is nothing crazy about this idea. It's really, there are so many shots at the table, so many variations, and really personal preference. There is no right way of playing the position. It depends how do you feel at this moment.
I think I'm going to like doing commentary with you. You're bailing me out of my crazy shots. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime. Uh-oh, that looks bad. Well, here's the first opening opportunity for the Van Lin. We haven't seen much of him lately, so let's see if he can.
We saw a nice kick shot, a nice jump shot.
Yeah.
And
then he cut the 2 ball in.
He didn't have much more to work with.
And to be honest, hats off to him. He won the safety battle right now. That's what I mean in like creating opportunity and giving your best in every kick shot, every safety, because you never know when you're gonna have a opportunity.
Well, he's got a straightforward run here, so
here's his chance to
put a little fear in Thorsten's heart.
Exactly. 2 rail shape for the 5. I see like he prefers to stun this ball, which
your average 9-ball player?
No, I would say he's probably not very familiar with a slick table, because to be honest, on a slick table, I think you're supposed to play more natural angle. You don't want to force
it. I like to
it
follow
in.
it. It laid very natural.
Because right now, I mean, he can still make it and play shape for the 8, but he made it more complicated for himself. And see, it's like a snowball effect. You make one mistake, and then it leads to another, and then, yeah, it just gets more and more challenging from there on.
And he's called the bank in the side on the 8 ball. There you see him calling it again.
I wonder if he's just going to play it soft or he's going to let his stroke out, because the 9 ball is in the pocket. You can just kind of like, that doesn't look like he
didn't open it up. So
now Thorsten is faced with a dilemma. What is he going to do here? Because obviously the 8 ball, he can't play it on the top right corner. The 9 ball is blocking the pocket, so he either is going to cut it in the side. I believe so.
That's what he's like. Either that or bank it down the middle of the table and take the cue ball up, but I like to cut in the side.
Not sure how much of angle he's got. Oh, perfect. That's a very good shot.
Especially with the 9 ball hanging on the pocket.
Yeah.
That's
you can't go wrong. Like, that's a natural path of the cue ball. It just goes across the table 2-3 times.
See, I'm one of these guys that if it lays natural, I'll take a shot at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Thorsten's the kind of guy that's going to take a 5-0 lead.
Yeah, and honestly, Lin had his opportunity, and unfortunately he didn't use it in his advantage.
He was looking at 5 balls all in the open and didn't play position for one of them, and ended up having to bank the 8.
Yeah,
and he missed a fairly easy bank too.
I think the key mistake that he made is trying to play shape from 4 to the 5. Like, he had a very small angle, so he was trying to force it in with a stun shot, which you gotta understand that on the new cloth, new tables, the cloth, the bat itself plays quick, but the rails play soft. So every time the cue ball goes into the rail, it loses a lot of speed. So like, you want to stick with those natural angles and with top spin, you know, if you want the cue ball to roll further.
Not only the natural angles, the English is much smooth. High English is much smoother than low English.
High English, and you usually play this type of shots with high inside, so inside helps the cue ball to speed up off the rail.
Well, this is a very good opening for Thorsten, and things get more complicated for Linh.
Absolutely, and you know how we love to call it is when you don't use your opportunity, like when you miss an easy ball or you made a bad decision when you had the opening. It's like the pool gods are punishing you. The opponent.
Oh, so you believe in the pool gods?
I do believe in the pool gods because I used to face them all the time. And it's funny because, you know, suddenly when you miss this easy opportunity when you were supposed to get out, opponent starts getting some rolls. He's getting, you know, he's making balls on the break, opening tables.
Look how nice he's played position.
Yeah,
here.
Absolutely. I just a little bit concerned about the 5 ball. I believe if the combination is fired, he might just go for the combination without trying to overcomplicate things. Just roll the 4 ball and go for the combo. It looks straight in. Yeah, that's what I thought, because once again, coming back to the brand new tables and new cloth, you don't want to like force it in and stun it all the way across unless you have to.
For all of those out there, she's making giving some very good tips for a lot of the amateur players and a lot of the even mid-level.
Yeah, but the thing that the amateur players rarely play on, you know, brand new cloth. They usually play on the pool room tables. But if you were to come to the this tournament, the BCA and CSI Expo, they have so many 7-foot tables that are like brand new tables, brand new cloths. So those tips would be probably valuable.
Very useful.
For you guys.
They have over 300 tables and 4 ballrooms here at the CSI Expo. And we have the teams that have come in. They start tomorrow, actually on Wednesday. Right now there's a lot of singles play and Scott Stubbles. You have vendors from all over the world surrounding the main ballroom. This one is the second ballroom here. So you have close to 7,000 people coming in and out of these ballrooms.
Wow.
To provide spectators to mingle with the pros because they're all over. You meet them in the elevator, take a picture with them in the walkways.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just so much fun for the players and for the spectators.
It is exciting. I was honestly, the last year was the first time I came to the CSI Expo, and when I walked in, I was like, wow. Like I couldn't even talk because I didn't know what to say. It was just, I was speechless. It was something that I've never seen before, and it is truly the greatest pool experience in the world, how they call it, and you just have to experience it at least once.
It is very impressive when you walk into the main ballroom.
Yes,
And you
just
see
the
a
fact,
sea of tables, 110 tables lined out, and the pro arena in the back. And there's people on every table. Tomorrow it will be so crowded you will have trouble walking down the main walkways.
I remember the last year when I walked in, it was kind of weird situation last year. So when I moved to States, you know, I had so many ambitions that I'm gonna play a lot of tournaments. The World Games were coming up, and then unfortunately the war happened, and Olympic Committee banned athletes from Russia and Belarus to play in the all-official events. So I'm from Belarus, so I had to face this ban. So imagine moving to States, pretty much the capital of pool in the world, with so many events going on, and I couldn't play. So fortunately for me, Pro Billiard Series gave me an opportunity to work on the event in Vegas. So I was doing some commentary, I was doing interviews with the players, doing some media work, and it was exciting. But every time I would walk in the arena, there were like 100 people wanting to like take a picture with me and like ask me to sign a ball or case, and they were all asking when I'm going to play, and I had to explain to everybody why I'm not playing. And every day hearing this, oh, I'm sorry, this is so unfair. And it's just like, it was so depressing. In the end of the tournament, I was just, you know, I'm just so done. I can't wait for this to be over, because it's like you there in the greatest pool experience in the world and you can't play. It is painful. And you have so many fans, so many people who following you, and they all want to see you play and you can't. But I'm so fortunate to be able to play this year. I had a blast in the women's event. It was amazing.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I commend you for what you did last year. I remember watching you doing all the interviews with people and players and tables, and the response you were getting from people. It was just, you did a great, outstanding job.
Thank you.
And very supportive.
I enjoyed it, and just the fact that I know all of these players on a personal level, it was a little bit easier for me to connect with them, you know, doing some cool, funny interviews and stuff like this.
Look how nice you tucked him in. I say, I like it. I like it when you tuck somebody in right there like that, because it takes away
he can really do.
2 rails off the bottom if it goes by.
Does he?
If it goes by, yeah, I think
he has a 1 rail kick, but there's a 9 ball. Actually, the 9 ball is right on the line of the 1 rail
it's
kick.
very, very close, yeah.
I believe he will be able to avoid it. Nope.
And Thorsten again has played a very successful safety and ball in hand. And everything's open.
Yeah, when I look at the layout, I mean, it's pretty much connecting the dots, and then when you get to 6 ball, you really have to make sure that you get a good angle on the 7, because if you look at the 8, the only pocket he can play it is in the bottom right corner, right? So have to be very smart with this 6 ball.
Just planning.
Yeah, I would probably get shape from the 6 to the 7 somewhere in the center of the table, and then go underneath the 8 and the 10.
And played in the same pocket as the 7.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Hit the bottom rail, stun it 1 or 2 rails.
See, with you as a coach, I could probably run 3 balls.
I'm pretty sure you could make it happen. You know, in the end of the day, the goal is to make it simple. You don't have to overcomplicate the things. Like, it is about simplicity at the table. It's about eliminating the travel of the cue ball as much as you can, especially when you're faced with like conditions that you're not familiar. You want to keep it simple.
And Thorsten's doing just that. He's going to slide right over to the left side of the 8. Look how nice he's done this.
It's a little bit too
off
soft
the rail.
to me.
Yeah. Well, the 10 ball holds him for the 9. It's just a matter of pocketing the 8.
Yeah. I believe if he's going to slow roll it, or he's going to let the stroke out a little bit and then bump the 10 and play the shape for the corner pocket, the 9 ball in the corner.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Just soft and
easy.
yeah, he's okay now. He can go 2 rails and play the 10 ball in the bottom right corner. Nicely done.
I like the way he checked it.
This puts Thorsten on the hill.
Oh. One game away from his first match, opening match, to pitch a complete shutout. The young man has run maybe 3 balls, and then he got a little out of line on his position, or his attempt was failed, and Thorsten has punished him, and he's kicked it everything else other than that one time at the table.
Yeah, you can see his body language at the chair doesn't look good. He's beating himself up, and yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't look good to him. As we spoke about it, I believe it was 4-0 or 5-0. He had a ball in hand, and he had an open table. He didn't use this opportunity, and now Thorsten pretty much just punished him for this.
And his highlights are the one jump shot.
And the cut shot. I think he made
he made 2 very nice cut shots. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice point. Good catch. Thorsten, a game away. He's breaking well.
Thorsten is breaking really well so far, and look at this.
What a nice way to cap off this match for Thorsten, especially in his mind.
Yeah. It's probably the best thing in the world when you break on the hill and you have a wide open table and not so many troubles. Perfect shape for the 4.
Wow.
He has a slight angle to stun it across the table and play the 5 in the same side pocket.
See, this is, you said connect the dots. I like to call it tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing.
Exactly.
I would keep it simple. I would just play a stop shot, maybe draw back just a little bit. But see, he decided to draw back all the way to the top rail.
He'll slide above the 8 there.
Yeah.
Nice and easy. Thorsten looking solid. He wasn't really challenged this match.
Nope, definitely not. He found his gear and he figured out the opponent's weakness right away in the beginning of the match. He realized that his opponent is struggling a little bit, or not a little bit, you know, with the table, the way the rails react, and he just pretty much used it in his advantage. I mean, good job. That's what you're supposed to do, right? On such a high level.
And this 10 ball to close the match for Thorsten HOHMANN. Move on to the second round. Not even losing a match, a game.
Yeah, well, good job for Thorsten. He played fairly well in this match, and he deserved to win.
Well, Margaret, thank you very much for joining me in the booth. This is George Teacha and Margaret Fefalova saying we'll see you down the road here.
See you guys later.